Russia and Ukraine exchanged another 95 prisoners of war. Car crashes into cafe terrace in Paris, killing one. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm SAHIH and you are watching World Today. Russia and Ukraine exchanged 95 prisoners of war each on Wednesday in the latest such swap after the United Arab Emirates acted as an intermediary. Russia's defense ministry, in a statement, said the returning Russian soldiers would be flown to Moscow for medical examinations and physical and psychological rehabilitation. It said the freed troops had faced mortal danger in Ukrainian captivity. While Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the free Ukrainian prisoners were members of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, the National Guard and the Border Guard Service. Zelensky thanked the United Arab Emirates for its help in facilitating the swap. The prisoner exchange was the third of its kind in the past 7 weeks. In June, Russia and Ukraine each handed back 90 prisoners in a swap that was also facilitated by the UAE. Israel kept up its airstrikes on Gaza after Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to ramp up the pressure on Hamas as hopes faded for a US-announced ceasefire plan. Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh accused Israel of deliberately undermining negotiations for a truce and hostage release deal because it did not want to end the war. The Israeli military said it had carried out 25 strikes in 24 hours, targeting military structures, terrorist infrastructure and cells. The health ministry in Hamas-ruled Gaza said 52 people, most of them women and children, had been killed in Israeli strikes over the previous 24 hours. The territory's civil defense agency said 30 people had been killed in 3 strikes in Nuseirat refugee camp in central Gaza. One on a UN-run school, another on a house and a third on a mosque. Washington has been pushing for a truce deal between Israel and Hamas since it released details of an Israeli ceasefire roadmap on 31st May. But despite the efforts of Egyptian and Qatari mediators, indirect negotiations between the foes have made no headway. The war has devastated the coastal territory and left Gazans suffering shortages of food, medicines and basic goods. At a press conference on Wednesday, the World Health Organization representative in Gaza and the occupied West Bank said that only 16 aid trucks had entered the Gaza Strip via the Karim Shalom border crossing during the last month, while dozens of trucks were still waiting to do so. Meanwhile, the US military announced that its problem-plagued mission to deliver aid via a temporary pier had officially ended. Meanwhile, Israeli firefighters and security examined damages and tried to control fires that broke out after an overnight rocket barrage fired from Lebanon towards towns and cities across Israel's border. The sound of siren was caught on camera in the Israeli city of Nahariya, bordering Lebanon on its north and the Mediterranean on its west. In the eastern part of Israel-Lebanon border, near the city of Kiryat Shmona, fires broke after a rocket barrage from Lebanon hit the area. Residential buildings inside the city suffered damages. Israeli army spokesperson announcement said that over 20 projectiles were identified crossing from Lebanon into Israel in different areas and barrages overnight, some of which were intercepted. No injuries were reported. The statements added that the military had struck targets in Lebanon. Also on Wednesday, Hezbollah leader Said Hassan Nasrallah said that his group will hit new Israeli targets if Israel keeps targeting civilians in Lebanon. 5 civilians, all Syrians and including 3 children, were killed in Israeli strikes in Lebanon on Tuesday, and at least 3 Lebanese civilians were killed the day before. United States President Joe Biden, under fire from fellow Democrats to drop his re-election campaign, tested positive for COVID-19 while on a trip to Las Vegas on Wednesday and is experiencing mild symptoms. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre announced the matter after the president of Unidos US, a Latino civil rights organization, said Biden would not be able to speak at a scheduled event due to the diagnosis. Minutes after the announcement, the president's motorcade was on the move from tapping a radio interview in Las Vegas to the Las Vegas airport. The president was returning to Delaware to self-isolate. Biden had just greeted a couple of dozen people at a Mexican restaurant prior to going behind closed doors for the interview. When Biden was late for the start of the Unidos US event, the organizer announced he had been tested positive for COVID-19. Biden is long in a battle with some fellow Democrats who worry he is too old to seek re-election and want him to step aside in favor of another candidate. He suffered a blow earlier in the day when a prominent Democratic member of the U.S. House of Representatives, Adam Schiff of California, said it was time for Biden to pass the torch to someone else.
Anything that you would look to?
Earlier, Biden said he could drop his re-election bid if doctors found he had a medical condition, as a top Democrat on Wednesday urged the 81-year-old to step aside.
If I had some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem. But I made a serious mistake in the whole debate. And look, when I originally ran, you may remember it, I said I was going to be a transitional candidate. And I thought that I'd be able to move from this to pass it on to someone else. But I didn't anticipate things getting so divided.
Biden has been fighting for political survival since a disastrous debate against Trump nearly 3 weeks ago, in which his tired and confused appearance sparked concerns about his age. Schiff became the first Democrat to call for him to step aside since the assassination attempt against Trump on Saturday, which had briefly silenced the growing chorus against Biden. Libya hosted the Trans-Mediterranean Migration Forum, TMMF, in its capital Tripoli, bringing together leaders from Europe and Africa to address the ongoing migration crisis in the Mediterranean region. Libyan Prime Minister Abdul Hamid al-Dabaiba and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni were among the key participants. The forum aimed at finding sustainable solutions to the challenges posed by migration from Africa to Europe.
أوروبا تستخدم في كل الوسائل وكل الطرق لمنع هؤلاء الناس. أفريقيا من الجنوب تدفع بهؤلاء البشر للحاجة وللعطش والجوع والمعيشة ولحياة أفضل. ونحن وجدنا نفسنا في هذه الدولة حقيقة بضغط من الشمال ومن الجنوب.
Al-Dabaiba also criticized the current financial approach to the crisis, saying that there has been money spent for nearly 50 years on this problem and it has not been solved. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni told the conference that the situation could not be resolved without tackling the problem in the countries of origin. According to the International Organization for Migration, as of January 2024, there were more than 706,000 migrants in Libya. Prime Minister of Bangladesh vowed Wednesday to punish those responsible for killing 6 people in ongoing student protests over civil service hiring rules hours after police forcibly dispersed a funeral ceremony to mourn the dead. 6 people were killed in Tuesday's clashes around the country as rival student groups attacked each other with hurled bricks and bamboo rods. Police dispersed rallies with tear gas and rubber bullets. The worst day of violence since demonstrations against public sector job quotas began this month prompted Sheikh Hasina's government to order the closure of schools and universities nationwide until further notice. Hasina, whose administration is accused by protesters of misusing the quota scheme to stack coveted government's job with loyalists, condemned the killings and insisted that perpetrators would be brought to justice. Earlier, around 500 protesters staged a public funeral ceremony at the capital's prestigious Dhaka University, carrying 6 coffins draped with the red and green national flag. However, riot police had already cordoned off roads leading to the campus with barbed wire and stopped the procession with tear gas, volleys and stun grenades. Near daily marches this month have demanded an end to a quota system that reserved more than half of civil service posts for specific groups. Critics say the scheme benefits children of pro-government groups that back Hasina. Coming up, 16 killed in daily mall blaze in China. Stay tuned.
Kami, Sultan Ibrahim Ibni Almarhum Sultan Iskandar, Yang di-Pertuan Agong bagi Malaysia, bersumpah dengan melafazkan Wallahi, Wabillahi, Watallahi.
Biasan bega pancaran berpikat, melimpah seri bagaikan permata. Pertabalan bermakna dinantikan rakyat, daulat tuanku di atas tahta. Saksikan istiadat pertabalan ke bawah Duli Yang Maha Mulia Seri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong ke-17 Sultan Ibrahim pada 20 Julai 2024 di TV1, saluran Berita RTM dan RTM Klik.
Welcome back. A motorist plowed a car into a cafe terrace in Olympic host city Paris, killing one person and seriously injuring several others in a suspected accident. The incident struck less than 10 days before the opening of the Olympic Games in the French capital on 26 July. The public prosecutor's office said the driver of the vehicle had been arrested, but it was not established whether there had been a passenger. Earlier, the police source had said 3 of the injured people were in a critical condition. He said all those injured were customers of the bar. There was a large police presence around the terrace of the bar, tucked in behind the world-renowned Père Lachaise Cemetery, the final resting place of the likes of Edith Piaf, Oscar Wilde and Jim Morrison. At least 4 fire engines were also stationed close by, while soldiers patrolled the nearby Gambetta Square. France is on high alert ahead of the Games, having been the victim of numerous terror attacks in recent years. A fire that tore through a shopping center in southwestern China has killed 16 people. Video broadcast by state media CCTV and shared on social media Wednesday night showed thick black smoke billowing out of the 14-story tower in Zigong, Sichuan province. The channel said the blaze started in the early evening in a shopping center at the foot of the building. Around 30 people were rescued from the complex, with the fire extinguished by rescuers around 8:20 p.m. Later footage provided by a drone operator to AFP showed fire trucks and other first responders blocking off the road late at night, continuing to spray down the charred building. According to the state media Xinhua, as of 3 a.m. Thursday, the death toll stood at 16 with no individuals left trapped inside. Zhejiang, around 1,900 kilometers from the capital Beijing, is home to nearly 2.5 million people. Fires are common in China due to lax safety standards and poor enforcement. 14 high school students in Tokyo were hospitalized after eating spicy chips. 30 students had consumed the snack after one male student brought it to school. The student said the chips were purchased by his older brother. The students who were rushed to the hospital said their mouth and stomach were in pain after consuming the snack, but were conscious and treated for minor symptoms. The maker of the snack, Isoyama Corp, issued an apology in an online statement and wished the students a speedy recovery. The snack, called R18 curry chips, come with a warning for those under the age of 18 and those with high blood pressure and a weak stomach to not consume it. It further advises consumers to not consume the snack all on one's own, since it could cause diarrhea. North Macedonia, backed by firefighting helicopters from Serbia, battled a wildfire in mountainous south region. The The blaze near the town of Negotino scorched areas of bush and woodland close to the highway. Firefighting resources from neighboring Serbia, as well as Croatia, Slovenia and Turkey, will be deployed to help combat the fires. North Macedonia declared a state of emergency last Sunday due to the forest fires. In a report released on the same day, the World Bank warned that Western Balkan economies need to invest a minimum of $37 billion over the next decade to safeguard people and property from the effects of climate change. Over in Brazil, thousands of dead fish blanketed the surface of a river in Sao Paulo. According to Piracicaba local authorities, the disposal of industrial waste into the Tijuco Preto stream, which flows into the affected Piracicaba river, could be the cause of the mass death of fish. The death of the fish have raised concerns among local fishermen. Jose Benito Verones thinks the river will need a long time to recover. According to local media, this is the second time the river has been covered in dead fish. According to local media, Forja de Espalo, if an environmental crime has been committed, fines could reach 50 million reais. An aircraft that had made an emergency landing on a snowy mountain in Argentina was rescued by specialized personnel and a helicopter. The aircraft, a Piper PA-18, had to land on a frozen lagoon in the province of Chubut due to technical problems. Its operator was rescued a day later. According to IBEX, a company that provides aeronautical services and which was in charge of the aircraft removal, the rescue operation took 10 hours. Up next, national wheelchair tennis player Yus Hazwan qualifies for Paralympic Games. Stay with us. Starting off our sports segment this afternoon, national wheelchair tennis player Muhammad Yus Hazwan Yusof has qualified on merit for the 2024 Paralympics in Paris in August. Wheelchair Tennis Malaysia WTM said in a statement that Muhammad Yus Hazwan will make his Paralympic debut in Paris as he is ranked 30th in the latest world ranking. Only the top 32 players in the International Tennis Federation ITF World Ranking qualify to compete in Paris on merit. WTM President Muhammad Iqbal Sulaiman said this will be the second time that a national player has qualified for the Paralympics after Abu Samah Borhan made his debut in Tokyo 2020. Abu Samah is waiting for his bipartite application via the Bipartite Commission's invitations to be approved for the 2024 Paralympics. Abu Samah partnered Muhammad Yus Hazwan to clinch the men's doubles silver medal at the 2022 Hangzhou Asian Para Games. In football, Croatian midfielder Luka Modric has signed a one-year contract extension with Real Madrid, which will keep him at the Bernabeu until 2025. The 38-year-old Ballon d'Or winner in 2018 won a 6th Champions League crown as well as 4th La Liga title with Real last season. Modric's previous contract expired at the end of 2023-24 season, but the Croatian told fans he would return next season when they were celebrating their Champions League triumph, which extended Real's record to 15 European Cups. No player has won more titles with Real Madrid than Modric, who has lifted 26 trophies since he joined the Spanish Giants in 2012. The veteran player was widely expected to retire, especially after his long-time midfield partner Toni Kroos, 34, announced his retirement at the end of the season. Modric also had no plans to hang up his boots on the international stage despite Croatia's early exit from the recently concluded European Championship, where they were eliminated after the group stage. Elsewhere, Bayern Munich's new coach Vincent Kompany was out on the Lions pitch on Wednesday as the team's new trainer held his first session with the German team. Company signed a deal with Bayern until 2027 after the Belgian parted ways with Burnley following their relegation from the Premier League. Following his appointment in May, Company said he would demand absolute aggression and bravery from his players. Bayern, Bundesliga champions in the previous 11 seasons, finished third behind Bayern Leverkusen and VfB Stuttgart last season. They also failed to win domestic or European silverware for the first time in more than a decade, leading to the departure of coach Thomas Tuchel, which was announced in February. The rival company, who has Bundesliga experience having played for Hamburg SV and speaks German, ended a month-long search for Tuchel's successor. Several candidates decided to remain in their current jobs, including Leverkusen Xabi Alonso, former coach Julian Nagelsmann, and Australian Ralf Rangnick. On to tennis, Rafael Nadal and Casper Ruud saved a match point in the deciding set tiebreak to reach the semi-finals of the doubles in Bastad on Wednesday, hours after the Norwegian was knocked out of the singles. Nadal and Ruud squeezed past France's Theo Aribach and Roman Saifulin of Russia 6-4, 3-6, 12-10 to advance to the last four, winning the final 3 points of the match after being on the brink of defeat. While Nadal and Ruud wait to discover their semi-final opponents, the Spaniard will be back in action on Thursday against Britain's Cameron Norrie in the round of 16 in the singles. The 22-time Grand Slam champion returned to competition for the first time this week since his early French Open exit. He will hope to avoid the same fate as Ruud, whose Olympic preparations took a hit when he lost 6-3, 6-3 to Thiago Monteiro in the second round early on Wednesday. Ruud, a two-time French Open runner-up, was a finalist in Sweden last year. He won the tournament in the year 2021. Meanwhile, world number 121 Thiago Tirante of Argentina pulled off the biggest win of his career as he defeated top seed and defending champion Andrei Rublev 7-6, 3-6, 6-4. The 23-year-old Tirante responded to Rublev's firepower with heavy hitting of his own to claim his first top 20 win and reach his maiden tour-level quarterfinal. Tirante is enjoying his career best season, having first cracked the top 100 of the PIF ATP rankings in March and winning the ATP Challenger Tour 125 event in Mexico City a month later. Tirante's 2-hour, 23-minute win against Rublev was his 6th tour-level victory and 4th this year. He will next take on Roberto Cabales Baena in the last 8. In cycling, Richard Carapaz of EF Education Easy Post climbed solo to victory on stage 17 of the Tour de France, a 178-kilometer ride from Saint-Paul-Trois-Chateaux to Superlevuy on Wednesday. Carapaz, who has also won stages on the Giro Italia and Vuelta Espana, finished 37 seconds ahead of Jaco Alula Simon Yates to claim his first win on the Tour de France. The 31-year-old Carapaz also became the first Ecuadorian to win a stage at the Tour. His attack in the mountains, about 13 kilometers from the finish, helped the Olympic champion breeze to victory. But there was a battle in the general classification behind him as Slovenia Tadej Pogačar retained his yellow jersey. Pogačar attacked towards the end of the stage, forcing rivals Jonas Vingegaard and Remco Evenepoel to respond. Evenepoel, who is third in the overall standings, attacked on the climb to pull ahead of Pogačar and second-place Jonas Vingegaard to cross the line first among the contenders. Pogačar, meanwhile, waited for the right opportunity and attacked later on to extend his lead by 2 more seconds, while Evenepoel closed in on Vingegaard in the general classification.
Satu perjuangan
mana negara bakal menyaksikan istiadat yang begitu bersejarah dan dinanti?
Pelantikan Seri Paduka Baginda yang di-Pertuan Agong menurut Perlembagaan Persekutuan dalam tempoh 5 tahun sekali.
Diabadikan melalui pelbagai lensa dengan acara yang penuh tradisi.
Dinantikan oleh seluruh rakyat Malaysia langsung dari Istana Negara.
Saksikan istiadat pertabalan ke bawah Duli Yang Maha Mulia Seri Paduka Baginda yang di-Pertuan Agong ke-17 Sultan Ibrahim pada 20 Julai 2024 di TV1, saluran Berita RTM dan RTM Klik.
And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story today, Russia and Ukraine exchanged another 95 prisoners of war. Do join us again this evening on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM for more. Alternatively, you could stream us online on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, I'm SAHIH from the river to the sea. Pulse time will be free. Thank you for watching.